This right here is exactly what I would expect from him.
So should the American people dissent. I dissent. May God bless you all, and may God help preserve our democracy. Thank you. And may God protect our troops.
Will you drop out the phrase, Mr. President?
Why are you the best Democrat to beat Trump?
What makes you so confident you should be the president?
Really quick, I'm going to be focusing mostly not only on the immunity in this video and why the Supreme Court ruled the way they did, but I want you guys to stick around for the end of the video because we're going to be talking a lot about the narrative that's about to be spun for the rest of this year. And also to go on top of this, once again, another reason why it is that they probably won't replace crooked old Joe at the top of the ticket. And I think that this ruling kind of sort of clamps down on that. It also clamps back to a previous video that I did on the same topic. So make sure you guys stick around. Not a strong look, just walking off, not answering questions. But then again, though, the Biden administration or Joe Biden himself has kind of sort of been this way since he's been in office. Not exactly answering questions. Now, guys, this right here is going to be a relatively concise video. You probably already caught that with the time stamp that you obviously would see when you actually clicked on the video. But we need to talk a little bit about this immunity thing and exactly the type of narrative that's going to be pitched this year. As you guys will find out here real soon, they've already decided to go ahead and go with the, I guess the president is a king now and the president can do anything and everything that he wants. However, the point is this right here. They always leave out the most important stuff when it comes to topics such as presidential immunity, all that kind of stuff. And given the fact that at this moment in time, the former president is now under appeal, or he's starting to undo the New York case, I think it's about time that we have a conversation about immunity, and not only immunity, but exactly the type of narrative that will in fact be pitched for the rest of this year. So make sure you guys stick around for the full video.
Chief Justice John Roberts has the writing on this. He's got the pen. Is that significant?
It's very significant. It's the most important case of the term in terms of the long-term interests of the executive branch, in terms of the short-term interests of Donald Trump. And it looks like, at least within the bounds of clear executive authority, what Chief Justice Roberts is saying is that the president clearly has immunity from prosecution. So the question is going to be, again, I think Trey underscored this before, is what is an official act? There's going to be a lot of litigation about that, and what's close to the core of clear executive constitutional authority versus the outer ambit.
Obviously, I chose to lead with Fox News there and throw that clip in there, roughly about 45 seconds. And obviously, there's this nice little bit that came from CNN that I think was actually a lot better than what you guys just saw.
Joe Biden, after cannonballing into an empty swimming pool on Thursday night, came out tonight and spoke for 4 minutes off of a teleprompter. He's good for 4 minutes today, as long as somebody else wrote it. After having this completely tone-deaf sort of announcement coming out of this meeting that you wrote about with his family this weekend, where his son, the notorious influence peddler and crack addict, Hunter Biden, says, you got to keep going. Also, they were hanging out with Annie Leibovich, the photographer, which I wasn't even aware she was taking mugshots now. This entire thing since Thursday has been one tone-deaf political disaster after another. Tonight, he comes out and attacks the Supreme Court and says, oh, the president can now do whatever he wants. The same guy, by the way, whose centerpiece of his speeches is, the Supreme Court tried to stop me. They blocked me, but they'll never stop me on student loans. I don't know what they are doing, because they don't know what they're doing, and no one in America knows what they're doing, and that's why Donald Trump's beating.
He's not lying. If you guys recall correctly, it was Biden recently who tried to get student loan debt forgiveness done by way of executive order, only to then turn right back around, tell everybody that the Supreme Court shut him down, and then he said he defied the Supreme Court. This is also the same president, if I recall correctly, also during 2021, right after he got in office, told everybody that he was not going to mandate people take the COVID vaccine, but then turned right back around and signed an executive order basically telling everybody that they had to mandate the COVID vaccine, only to then turn right back around and once again got shot down by the Supreme Court. It seems to me like there's a lot of BS here, and quite frankly, at this moment in time, I don't think he needs to be talking, but then again, though, at the same time, as you guys obviously saw, there is a reason why it is that he chooses to avoid questions and walks away, because, quite frankly, it's pretty obvious he cannot answer them, or at least answer them the right way they need to be answered, or at least Well, I'll just put it this way here. We're already dealing with a lot of weak ineptitudes, incompetence. We're already dealing with this administration. I'm pretty sure most people at this moment in time just want this administration to end. But once again, here we are. So what did the Supreme Court decide exactly? Well, the Supreme Court decided by way of 6-3 that the president has immunity for official acts during his administration. The original ruling was 6-3, but there was another ruling, or well, not really a ruling, but there was a bit of an opinion that made people believe it was initially 5-4 in favor of the president. I wanted to say that my 12 o'clock video today, I want to say that I said it was actually a 5-4 with Amy Coney Barrett backing out, not giving full support to the actual ruling. That she didn't. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that she did not say that she was ruling that presidents had immunity for official acts. I'm here to tell you right now that that's a bit of a retraction. I apologize for that, but still, though the video is going to stay up, I'm not going to take it down over one little inaccuracy. You guys know me. I normally come out and clarify after the video has been posted. Still, though, for acts that are considered to be official, the president of the United States now has immunity. However, this immunity extends to stuff like, say, military action, things that involve national defense, things of that nature there. But people, of course, once again, are going ahead out there with the narrative that, of course, that the president can basically just go outside and shoot somebody or do whatever. And, of course, not only that there, but basically the president can just do whatever the hell he wants even after he leaves the office. I want to go ahead and say this really quick because I've obviously been arguing in favor of presidential immunity, not because I agree with it, but because presidents, for the most part, do have immunity. The point is this right here. If you want to lock up a president, you have to actually impeach them and then convict them before you can actually lock them up or take away their Secret Service protection or anything. It was Nixon, Fitzgerald. That was the first case that that was the case that people used most of their basis for their argument on. Essentially, what it means is that, like I said previously, you have to literally impeach the president while also at the exact same time you have to not only impeach them, but you have to actually get a conviction before you can actually lock them up. That's basically the point of this entire ordeal, and we've been saying that for a while. The vast majority of these court cases that they have thrown against the former president have basically been based upon novel legal theories. And, of course, the president, former President Trump, is in fact moving to get the case in New York tossed. But then again, though, that case was already going to get tossed anyways. And now the sentencing deadline has been moved from the 11th to the 24th. This very recently came out. So, obviously, former President Trump is going to, of course, go and do his RNC speech, accept the nomination, all that type of stuff there. And, of course, we will continue on with business of the day. However, that does not mean that these people are not done. I mean, check out MSNBC last night. Now, really quick, I'm going to let this clip run a little bit long. And the reason why I'm going to let this clip run a little bit long is because the Rachel Maddow section of this is kind of tilted at an odd angle, but of course I couldn't get it anywhere else, and I'm kind of making this video on the fly, so please bear with me. You're going to get Joy Reid, then you're going to get Rachel Maddow afterwards, but pay attention to the narrative. This will be fun.
About bold and decisive action.
Yeah.
Well, what bold and decisive action do they have in mind? Probably the exact same bold and decisive action the Heritage Foundation has in mind. Heritage Action has in mind. Leonard Leo has in mind. Steve Bannon has in mind. And what I think they're saying to the American people is that if this Leonard Leo 6, get our preferred president back, we are going to encourage him to break the boundaries of the law, to push it to the limit, to feel free to even use violence, to use mass incarceration. Go ahead and do those camps. Do whatever you need to do to take the bold and decisive action that we repeatedly have said is necessary for the function of the presidency to get the agenda done. And we'll protect you and we'll let you know, Donald Trump, when you've gone too far. And only then will you be stopped. This is a clarion call to every American. By the way, that debate is like 34 felony counts old, and it does not matter anymore. All that matters is that you do not allow the person back into office who will use this power that he's been given by this court, this imperial court, to implement that agenda they wrote down and published because they know that no one will stop them.
The language in Justice Roberts' ruling saying that there was some measure of humility here, some measure of restraint. The practical impact of what they have done is to give Trump immunity that that even he and his counsel did not ask for. And given that the hypotheticals over the course of these arguments, as you rightly pointed out, included things like, can the president assassinate a rival? I think we have to look at the Supreme Court's affirmative answer to that. Yes, you can. With as much seriousness as it deserves. I mean, this is a death squad ruling. This is a ruling that says that as long as you can construe it as an official or quasi-official act, you can do.
I thought they're run a little bit longer so that way you guys could see that the Jerry Seinfeld impersonator is obviously going to try to mislead you. I also let that run a little bit longer so that way you guys could see that Beta Male, Chris, he with Joy Reid are both going to try to go out of their way to mislead you. At some point in time, you just need to learn to laugh at these people, but let's continue. And these right here are the narratives that are going to be out there. Obviously, Rachel Madcow, the Jerry Seinfeld impersonator, the Jerry Seinfeld lookalike. Obviously, Joy Reid, the Mark Davis lookalike, who for whatever reason chose to undo her hair the way it was before. I have no idea why she did that, but then again, at the same time, maybe she's trying to appear to be more black when obviously she is black, but still at the same time, she's a DEI hire. Not exactly a good representation of a certain community. I'm just simply throwing it out there. But this is obviously the narrative that they're going to be going with. Basically, that they made the president a king. And of course, you had the very, very beginning of the video you saw earlier where Biden decides to basically say, Justice Sonia Sotomayor said this right here, end of quote, because once again, it's another Ron Burgundy moment. But of course, his speech was a bit tertiary and a bit divisive, and people were pointing this out. And of course, we're going to listen to some of this, and we're going to respond to the other side, and so that way you guys can actually see exactly what's going on, because once again, this right here is going to be yet another campaign narrative that will be tossed out there, of course, because it is an election year, but let's listen.
Court decision on presidential immunity, that fundamentally changed. For all practical purposes, today's decision almost certainly means that there are virtually no limits on what a president can do. This is a fundamentally new principle, and it's a dangerous precedent, because the power of the office will no longer be constrained by the law, even including the Supreme Court of the United States. The only limits will be self-imposed by the president alone. This decision today has continued the...
This decision today. Now, look, we're going to look at it a little bit more. But I want to go ahead and say this before we go any further. Now, the previous two videos that were released, I released one, of course, at 12 o'clock, and then I released another one at 4. The previous two videos talked a lot about the current situation that the Biden administration is dealing with, and that there being the people who are calling for him to step down. I've already explained how it is he's not going to be able to step down, and how it is it would actually be a mistake if he did. And I also explained how it is that a lot of states at this moment in time, the deadlines to remove Joe Biden from the ballot have already passed. And of course, you'd have to have a literal open convention, but still he's got 9% of the delegates, so more than likely a lot of them would still stay with him. Now, it's possible they could pull some BS here at the end of the day, but that would only hurt their base a lot more. And also, given the fact that they're looking to bypass Kamala Harris, the DEI hire vice president, this is obviously something that obviously is weighing in on the administration at this moment in time. And of course, like I said, you kind of get the sense that this administration may, of course, be on its way out. However, that does not mean that it will not leave kicking and screaming. I actually believe that the exact same thing that happened in 2020 will happen in 2024, except it will have the reverse outcome. It will be the non-incumbent coming in and winning, and of course, that type of stuff there. That's why I keep telling people you should actually go out there and still physically vote, because you're going to have to obviously do it to swamp it and obviously beat the fortifications that they have going out there in your way. But we will be able to overcome. This is a no black pill zone. This is a red and white pill zone. But let's continue.
Recent years on a wide range of long-established legal principles in our nation, from gutting voting rights and civil rights, to taking away a woman's right to choose, to today's decision that undermines the rule of law of this nation. Nearly 4 years ago, my predecessor sent a violent mob to the U.S. Capitol to stop the peaceful transfer of power. We all saw it with our own eyes. We sat there and watched it happen that day. Attack on the police, the ransacking of the Capitol.
In continuing, I'll say what I have said before. The Supreme Court, the court's decisions, this right here is something that the Obama administration did back in 2012 when they attacked the Supreme Court just ahead of the Obamacare ruling, especially when it comes to the individual mandate. But as you guys can obviously see, this right here is not uncommon for these people to do. Roughly a minute. Let's watch the next bit of it, and we'll respond to the other side, and let me tell you what happens afterwards.
Hunting down the House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi. Gallows erected to hang the Vice President, Mike Pence. I think it's fair to say it's one of the darkest days in the history of America. Now the man who sent that mob to the U.S. Capitol is facing potential criminal conviction for what happened that day. And the American people deserve to have an answer in the courts before the upcoming election.
Going after the 1/6 prisoner is kind of low, especially given the fact that the former president said peacefully and patriotically, let your voices be heard. By the way, it's really that ruling that kind of set this up. Let's go back a little bit, or let me go back a little bit. As you guys obviously know, and you guys can obviously see, I've got stitches in my right side where I had carotid artery surgery on Friday. The surgery was on Friday morning. It was scheduled Friday morning. It ended up getting pushed to lunchtime. I actually caught the ruling that stated that the 1/6 prisoners, those who were being held for 1/6, had improperly been charged, and the Supreme Court had decided upon that, which means that these people should be getting released here soon. However, this way was obviously a telegraph to show you that they were probably going to rule on presidential immunity, and it was going to be at least a 5-4 ruling in favor of the former president, meaning that presidents do in fact have immunity. But they have immunity for official acts. But let's continue. Something else too, I want to go ahead and kind of point this out to kind of respond to that last little bit. A lot of people were pointing out how it was that Joe looked quite orange, almost like the Orange Man, and it made some very good memes. I just figured I would kind of put that out there. I have no idea what happened in that. I mean, it just seemed to me like they gave him a little bit more bronze than normal. So this is basically going to be the official narrative. The official narrative is going to be attack the Supreme Court. They're doing this because obviously they don't have anything else to run on. But then again, though, in 2012, you at least had an orator like Obama who at least had some charisma and could kind of get away with the BS. Politics is obviously theater, and politicians lie all the time, and people who are running for office lie all the time. So at some point in time, fact-checking these people almost becomes a damn chore. But the case of Joe Biden, it's obviously more than a damn chore, and obviously the lies and the BS are enough to fill up. I can't come up with a good term for that. I'm not that witty today. The fact of the matter is this right here. This right here is a situation that these people, once again, will spin. However, there is a caveat to this that I wanted to hit on earlier that I'm going to go ahead and hit on now to close this video. That's probably going to piss a lot of you guys off. I almost said you people. I apologize for that. It almost came out the wrong way. You guys know me. I love to do these right off the cuff. And here's the caveat that I'm talking about. We've mentioned in 2 straight videos that they want to replace former President Biden. They're already throwing that narrative out there. I've already said that they more than likely will not do that, and even if they try to do that, it wouldn't end very, very well for them. I've explained that in a few videos already. I've explained that in previous takes. However, here's something else that I think people need to kind of understand about this particular situation. If presidents have immunity for official duties, then that means that obviously we're not going to be able to get back at Obama for the things that he did. And of course, there's people who are going to argue that we can't go after Bush because of things that he did, even though I can't really find anything in the official capacity that would have actually gotten them, that should make them get locked up, because presidents are presidents. We can argue back and forth about wars, all that type of stuff there. And of course, Obama, drone striking an American citizen overseas. The fact is this right here. The stuff that's going on at the border, being able to hold Joe Biden accountable, if that's his official capacity, his official duty to leave the border open, which, by the way, he could just fix with an executive order, we could be screwed or jacklegged on that. That may be the real reason why it is that the Democrats are saying, you know what, just go ahead and let Joe stay out there. We'll make a big kerfluffle, and, of course, we'll just go ahead and lose. I'm not sitting here and saying that they're just going to let Joe lose. But when you see the fact that the economy, which is about to collapse and it's about to teeter off it's about to fall off the deep end, and it's going to stay down, it's going to take a lot for the next administration to fix. Is it possible that maybe they're going to let Joe stay in there and then let the economy collapse in 2025 and then take a long time for it to build back up? Because recovering from this type of economic collapse and everything going on and the border crisis, it looks to me like the Trump administration is going to be saddled with a lot. I'm not saying don't vote for him. Obviously, I'm saying do vote for him, because we need to get back on track, and he's the person to actually get us back on the right path. The point that I'm trying to make is that they've caused so much daggone damage that I don't think in their minds that they think it matters, that they could probably just switch party or switch presidents out again in 2028 because Trump will be gone then. The point that I'm trying to make is I think that Joe Biden, throughout this entire process, has been nothing more than a sacrificial lamb, and I think even he to a certain extent, kind of sort of knows this. But you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. I would love to hear what you guys have got to say. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video. Please tell me what you think, and I'll see you guys later.